Bueno, bienvenidos, bienvenidas, bienvenidos de nuevo a esta segunda jornada de este Green Social Summit. Lo primero que tengo que decir es que impone bastante estar rodeado de...
The first thing I want to say is that we are surrounded by different authorities, and I am a bit nervous because it is true that there are lots of people right here in this Larras.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much. I feel a little bit overwhelmed with all these people around me, all these important people. Let's start with the first speaker of this second session of the summit. She was mayor of one of the most important cities in Spain and in the world. She fought for a social model that welcomes tourism while fighting against corruption in order to care with the people living in Barcelona. So it's a real pleasure and an honor, a true honor for me to introduce Ada Colau. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear friends. Thank you, Madrid, for welcoming me, for having me. My colleague has introduced me very well, very kindly, thank you. And she introduced me as former mayor for 8 years. And I think that I have to be quite quick today because I want to give the floor to all the wonderful women around me. But I would like to start by saying that I was not only mayor, but also an activist. And being an activist really taught me how to be a politician. And I also learned as a politician, but when I learned the most was as an activist, a social activist. People like me who were not in the political world decided to play a role in the institutions. And that was due to the People's Party, because we wanted to fight against corruption. We occupied squares. We fought for the right housing rights, for a sustainable future, for a feminist future. And therefore, we decided to run in the elections. And I was the first woman mayor of Barcelona for 8 years. So we have to remind the People's Party to make sure that they are careful about what they ask for. Well, I was mayor, yes, but my team included feminist activists, environmental activists as well, and we were independent from banks and national governments, and that set us apart back then. Therefore, we entered the institutions, and at first, we were not treated very well. We were treated as an accident of the system, really, but we've showed that we not only replaced someone, we made Barcelona better. We changed the political agenda, we changed our priorities nowadays in Barcelona, Catalonia, in Spain. the feminist agenda, the green agenda is part of the political agenda. Diversity, racism is part of the political agenda, which was not the case in the past. On top of that, we also implemented transformative initiatives that were not possible before within the institutions. We were told that it was impossible, but they were possible indeed. And I will mention just a few things. We reinforced public services. We also created new services. We created new rights with regards to evictions, the rights to housing, issues that are national issues. But because we learned from social issues, we avoided thousands of evictions but we were told that this was not possible, and it was possible indeed. It is happening in Barcelona. So we prevented evictions from happening, especially for vulnerable communities. But Barcelona is also pioneer in terms of social housing. And not only social housing, but we are also creating new cooperations with social economical network, which is growing in our city. We change production systems and how we approach social housing in our country. We also fought for energetical poverty. We created public services to support thousands of families who suffered from big corporations, and we guaranteed basic energy needs for thousands of households. We also fought for a sustainable agenda. And well, we were facing a crisis, and we created new institutions. We created Barcelona Energía, a public company which ensures that Barcelona today is led by green energy and cheaper energy, because it doesn't depend on fossil fuels. It depends on social services. We improved our mental health services. Before the pandemic in Barcelona, we noticed that mental health was a real issue, and this is normally a national competency, but at a local level we created new services. We created social dentists as well for the ones who need it, and we implemented an urban transformation so that Barcelona is healthier, greener, and less polluted, with the focus on our citizens. And that transformation is not taking a step back, I'm telling you. I think it's also interesting to share our struggles as well, because we are living difficult times. We are aware of that. When we are pushing a transformative agenda, of course, there are obstacles. There are elites that are against the change, because these elites were used to do whatever they wanted. Some very powerful sectors, well, there were a few sectors that are very powerful, that did not value our democratic power. Citizens voted for us. So against these lobbies, we also said, well, run in the elections, but they didn't like our response. So they didn't really care about us. And a fake news campaign started, a bullying campaign, a law fight, insults. I mean, I've been told every single thing. I mean, I'm still renting the same place as I've been in over the past years, really, but we had to fight against these lies. As an example, in terms of water, this is the Green Social Summit. It's important to also talk about water. It seems that in a democratic, modern city such as Barcelona, it's incredible that we're still fighting for water. Water is a private commodity in Barcelona. Since the dictatorship and the multinational corporation makes huge profits out of this basic service, we fought against this multinational. And with regards to water, I have to say that there's a network that is terrible, almost mafia-like, and we have to fight against this network. And we still think that water is a basic need that needs to be managed publicly with public funds. We fought water speculation, of course, but also speculation with regards to basic needs, because democracy must ensure that social housing is affordable. So we fought against evictions, but we also fought against speculators. We placed vulnerable people in the focus. We find Airbnb and other agents who speculate with housing. We were fighting next to our citizens, our neighbors. And of course, there was something to fight for with regards to cars and the presence of cars as well, and to mass tourism. Sectors which didn't accept that an institution must defend general interest and must control these sectors, because huge powers must understand that there are limits as well. These complaints have not gone farther, really, but let me share one example. There was a complaint that was successful. So in Barcelona, we built a green space in the center, and citizens are really happy with that green space. A judge has now stated that that green space must disappear and that cars need to circulate over that green space, and citizens are worried about that. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty relaxed about it, because I know that citizens won't allow that, despite these judges going against common sense, because common sense is here to stay. And as citizens, we can fight for it. I'm sure that these green spaces will remain there, that the cycle paths will stay there, that the overground that is being built at the moment will stay there, that new transport infrastructure will remain there too. That is a reality. That is part of the city. It's not part of an institution, of a party. It is for people, and therefore people can fight for it, such as, well, schools. Schools are a priority for us to protect our children from pollution, from noise, and in order to create a sense of community. And there's no stepping back, and that's our main success. We did not reach the institutions. We not only reached the institutions, we implemented public policies that are now defended by citizens, no matter what. And to conclude, well, let's talk about the future. What should we do in Madrid, in Barcelona, in Spain, in Europe? There is a revolutionary movement that threatens social rights, and therefore we must ask, in a space like this today, where activists are here, we should ask ourselves, what can we do? Yes, we are here celebrating. Yesterday, in fact, we stopped the far right, and Feijóo failed in his path to power. We managed to stop far and far-right parties. That ensures a coalition government led by or Yolanda Díaz, who's been working very hard, I know it, in very difficult times. Yolanda Díaz has been working constantly in order to fight against far-right political parties. So what should we do? 3 things. We must implement brave policies that protect people, and I think that Yolanda would agree with me. These policies, these social policies, environmental policies is not enough. And we've seen it in Spain and in many other countries. That is not enough. Far right is working globally with great funding and very well coordinated. Vox, far-right parties in Spain, is very well coordinated with Trump, Bolsonaro, Hungary. We are facing an international threat that is very well funded by international lobbies whose interests align with the far right. As a result, we need to be well organized at an international level. And that's why this summit is very important. We must strengthen this network. And while we are a diverse network, we must remain united. So thank you very much for being here. We need to break these bubbles of fake news, low fares. We must fight against this isolation, against the system that wants to make people believe that we are an anecdotal movement. We need solidarity networks because these attacks are perpetrated everywhere. Sometimes they go against visible people and more famous people, but also to vulnerable people. So we need more solidarity. We need to strengthen our solidarity networks with progressive governments from Latin America, which are an example nowadays for all of us. Also strengthen these networks with the Black Power movement against colonization in Africa. These movements are our allies. And we need to strengthen our links with these movements to fight against these far right. We also need something that might seem simple, but it's very basic. When we have a bad day, when things go wrong and we are a little bit down, what's left? Friends, family, pets, a household. We have joyness, love, life. They cannot take that from us. Sometimes institutions go against that, but we cannot allow it. More than ever, we need to touch ourselves, celebrate, get together, make parties such as the one yesterday. We need music, art, culture, positive images. We need hope, and that's what people expect from us. We are reaching the end of a system that provokes the destruction of the planet, isolation, suffering, hate discourse. And against that, we can't give up. They want us to be depressed, but we cannot allow that. We are living very difficult times. I know we have to face these difficulties, but we must remember that our joy is ours, our bodies are ours, diverse bodies. We can love in whatever way we want, both privately and publicly, and nobody will stop us from doing so. They want us to be depressed, alone, but they will find us united, organized, diverse, happy, rebellious, and full of hope, such as today. We must strengthen our networks and improve them, use institutions when we reach them in order to empower people, not to be in a powerful position, but to empower people and to empower our children, our youth. Let's stop discourses who really eliminate voices from our youth and criminalize youth. We need them. They must lead the change. Both in and out the institutions. Let's celebrate life. Let's celebrate joy. Let's celebrate that we are here to change and improve everything. And let's empower our youth. Thank you very much.
Bueno, muchísimas.
Thank you so much, Ada. It is without any doubt that you are the mayor that we all deserve. Nothing else to say. I'm going to remind you that you have these little flags with you so that you can cheer up a bit in this Green Social Summit. So I want to see all the flags right up because we have them to use them. In any case, we're going to continue. And as I was saying before the pause, we were going to speak about crisis. And we're going to speak not about any crisis, but about the crisis that we have been living throughout the last years and the crisis, the financial crisis, the health crisis, the war in Ukraine, the climate crisis that we're so worried about, and its impact in people's daily life. This is something that we defend fearlessly. So this panel is going to count on the participation of these people, of specialists that are going to speak about these progressive policies that we defend and that we will be defending up to the European elections. We are going to have 3 guests that are not going to come here right now. Alain Laratta from the Avenir Secours, sorry for my French, and Mirian Leirós and Maite Navarro from Ultramarinos, Javi. And why do I say that they're not going to come to the stage? Still, because we are going to have our colleagues that are defending a new policy, new politics for the people and by the people. Lisa Paus, we have with us Federal Minister for Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Petra de Sutter, Belgian Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Public Administration, Public Enterprises, Telecommunication and the Postal Services, and Yolanda Díaz, Second Vice President and Minister for Labor and Social Economy for Spain. And as moderators, we are going to have with us Ernest Urtasun and Terry. I ask you to accompany us in this panel and have fun. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this Green Social Summit. And I had the occasion to do this yesterday, but thank you so much for everyone that comes from from another country. Thank you in the name of Sumar for taking part in this marvelous space. We're going to start the closing of the social summit with this main program. Thank you so much to the panelists, to the participants, and to those people that made this possible, to the tech support, to those people that had made everything so that this event goes great. And now we're going to start in this panel with this dialogue with 3 persons that are going to speak about their citizen life. And in any case, I'm going to give the floor to Terry.
Welcoming from a very special person, and I can say that as a Green, as a woman, as a feminist, as somebody who has been fighting for social justice for many, many years, for LGBTI rights, for fundamental rights, for green policies, for green reindustrialization of Europe, it is an absolute honor to have Yolanda Díaz with us today, welcoming us in this beautiful capital. Yolanda, the floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's a great pleasure being here with everyone. I am not going to thank all the authorities that we have in this room because I wouldn't. And President, thank you so much for being here. Our dear Esther, thank you very much. And senators, Carla Antonelli, deputies, Íñigo, dear Tess, deputies, everyone, ministers, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to Madrid. Welcome to this south of Europe. It is of utmost importance for us that you are here so that this Congress takes place in the south of Europe that we knew, in which we knew pain, we knew suffering, we knew how they left behind Greece, that lived a social crisis that damaged all the workers and that left aside Europe that told us that we were living above our possibilities and that we had to cut our rights. Welcome to the south of Europe that has gained not only the far right this 23rd of July in Spain, but another Europe that from now gives you the hand so you can launch this wave of hope, this wave of progress in the whole Europe, this wave to gain and to recover people's life. And this progress wave means that people were telling us that it wasn't true. It was a lie, this debate that we had in Europe. We cannot decide between what is bad and what is less bad. We must not actually decide between restricting our rights or restricting less our rights. We want to fight for climate justice, to say yes to the rights of people, to industrialization, sustainable industrialization. We want strategic autonomy. We want a Europe that says yes to free love, to defend the rights of LGBTI community. From Spain, we say it fearlessly and stronger than ever. We want to never see again these images that we saw in the Mediterranean. There is no human that is illegal in this world. We are going to work to defend these people's rights. Yes, we want a Europe, a free Europe that will make it possible for freedom to be the engine of change. We have always been doing this, and this is our duty from now on. We want to keep on knitting together equality. Our duty is tell everyone loud and clear to this wave, are they called Feijóo, Abascal, Meloni, or whoever says so, that we're going to win, that we're going to defend our villages, our cities, our people. It is a shame that people cannot make ends meet. Those people that live hunger, this 29% of people that are suffering, and we should be ashamed of the fact that there are so many poor people. We tell them from the south of Europe, from a Spain, a united Spain with lots of vulnerabilities. I'm going to say that I am very grateful for this Congress to be held here for one main reason. And this is because Spain is just not any country in climate emergency. It's not any country. We have far too many vulnerabilities. We have the vulnerability that we know. These heat waves with our president. I come from Galicia, and it's impossible to dream at night in houses in which they don't have AC. In schools, we have our teachers represented here, and they do not have air conditioning. We are living through droughts. We are in risk of this politics of Feijóo and Abascal to become a drought. We are in risk of becoming a desert. Thank you so much for having the Congress here, because we say yes to this Spain in which we have sustainable energy to defend Doñana, because the Mar Menor needs to be something else than it is right now. We say yes to the Spain of fundamental rights, and we say yes to Spain in general. We say yes to a Spain that claims that we have to change the production method in agriculture. We have to stop this intensive agricultural system. And I say it, and I come from Galicia, we need ecological systems. We say yes to the food, to the right to food, to healthy food. And this is what life is all about. This is what politics is all about. So thank you for the opportunity to hold this Congress here. And it's true that you don't invite me to the parties that Ada is invited to, of course. You do invite me to other gatherings, of course. But in any case, I am convinced that we're going to hold each other's hand in Madrid to assume a challenge that we have in front of us. We want to achieve for the next elections, the European elections, to be a great horizon of hope for our countries. This is a great challenge. This is a marvelous challenge. We are going to do this together. We are going to do it humbly from Sumar, and we will be doing this from what will be the next coalition progressive government of our country. We are going to have a coalition progressive model in our country. A progressive coalition. And this is the reason why it's important for us that you're here. Because if you allow me to do so, very humbly, in the last 3 years, we have proven that we can lead for the people. We are proud of our public management. We have proven that this neoliberal model that we had for more than 40 years was striking the people, and it wasn't sustainable ecologically speaking and economically speaking. We have created this minimum wage, this minimum salary. We have 9.8 million of women that were not working during the democratic system in Spain. And this is thanks to the great job that the trade unions have been doing, thanks to the fighting of people that from the street have supported us. They have told us that they wanted us to be in the government to do this. Thank you to these contracts. This is a humble present, and these new contracts have been able to prove that we can solve the crisis without destructing employment, and we have been keeping doing so. And this thing that this austerity that we were told that was doing the People's Party, that was kind of a jinx, is no longer happening. What we have given to the government in Spain has allowed for the reform to happen. Of course, we have a long way to go, but it's true that the working conditions are better now, and we have a lot to do, but people's life has been in constant change since we are in the government. This new retirement system, this new equal rights between men and women, and this retribution system. And we have been working in no less than digital platforms. This is what we have been doing. We have been changing the public agenda of our government, and the good part of it is that we will keep on working. We will keep on going. And we will be doing so, claiming that deputies, vice president, ministers, senators, dear Ada, we won't be in the government to conform, but to transform. We want more. As a great song says, yes, we want more, because the challenge is equality, has to do with equality. And Mr. Feijóo lies more than he speaks. And it's true that we have been reducing inequalities in Spain, and that we have really bad indicators, but the lowest in several years, in 10 years, but we still have a long way to go. And what Sumar is giving to the government has to do with the different subjects, the different areas that worry the people. People are worried about the working conditions, the working time, to reduce these working hours, to get out of work 1 hour before than expected. It has to do, it's related to mental health, it's related to what we were saying before about the fact that wages in Spain are still, and of course people have been speaking about this a lot, but we're speaking about 1,545 euros in Spain. And dear Maite, it is impossible to live in dignity with this salary. Therefore, we are going to keep pushing to raise this salary in our country. And it's in order to tell freelancers as Maite here that they're going to be able to live in dignity. What we give here means that that person that is in the waiting list because they have a rare pathology or a cancer, for this waiting list to stop, so that we have a regulation that can control these waiting times, so that we can finally tell women that is having 600 euros per month, we're going to guarantee this dignity for her to be attended every month, and so that she lives safely, and so that she can have access to mental health insurance. We're going to be in the government of Spain because we want more, but it's not for us, it's for you. During the campaign we said it is for you, es por ti, and Sumar is going to be in the government of Spain for you. It's for you, for the people in our country. And so due to the fact that we want more, we want even more. We want more public health. We want more public education. And sometimes I ask myself when I go to take my daughter from school, how can teachers stand what they are suffering in the classroom? It is time to transform educational systems in Spain, and so that teachers and our daughters and sons receive quality education. And this is what the coalition progressive government is all about. A government that needs to guarantee for this gap and this harassment, this sexual harassment, this racist harassment to stop, because we are segregating our people, and this is unbearable. And we need a government that wants more fight against climate change. Dear Ernest, we started in Doñana, but it's not enough. It's way not enough. We need to anticipate our commitment with the reductions of CO2 emissions. We need to anticipate it. We need to arrive to this data to reach these numbers in 2030. We cannot wait until 2050. We are going to start our work so that we save the planet, because the planet and our lives cannot wait. This is what Sumar is doing in the government of Spain. We are going against policies that we don't share. We have been seeing in Euro 7 in the whole world, and it's not enough arguing that we have crisis. If the far right wins, the planet will lose. Therefore, we are going to need to give priority to the planet, to our people, to environment. This is something that we want to say loud and clear. We do not share the words of the president when she says that we have to delay this Green Pact, this Green Deal. We have to be more quick, because there is no turning back. This is very serious. People are dying because of these heat waves. People are dying in their working places, and people are dying because they cannot live in dignity. And heat waves depend on the different neighborhoods, because those people that don't have that much of an income suffer more. And there is no dispute. It is clear that the labor minister says so. It's all about this social dispute that has to do with the climate dispute, economic dispute, and it's all the same. With the youth, I have learned something that is beautiful. The youth told me, these young people told me, that we are going to make possible for the fight to end when people that work in the supermarket tell us that they feel free. We need social equality, and the transformation needs to come from the working conditions, and it needs to go line in line with the fight for climate. Because Naomi Klein told us that from now on, every public policy needs to be a climate policy. There is no turning back, and Sumar is going to be present in the government on Spain. And I am very clear on this. We do not conform. To conform and to resign and to give up, it is impossible, because we're so many people here in this room, and we want to change the public agenda, not because of our own interest, but because this is the citizen feeling, and this is the feeling that has to do with the teachers, with the people that worry about what happens in the classroom, in the dining room, and that take care of their children. Some people say balbo in Galician, and means noise. We have to keep on speaking to people, speak directly to their problems. And speaking of Europe, we need to do something fundamental, something that is crucial. And the dispute means this fight against climate change between the losers, between those people that are always there, and the winners. In Euro 7, those people that are always there have won. But dear friends, we need to organize. We need to gather together in a very clear way, because the ones that have always been in the power can no longer be in the power. Even though their policies have failed, they have won this battle. Therefore, we need to be wiser. We need to be more organized. We need to care more. We need to be more comprehensive, so that people in the streets make theirs this problematic, these challenges. But the Europe from the north and the south, we need to close these bridges, these gaps between the Europe in the north and the south. It is true that there are several norths and several souths, but inside of them, the battle is still the same, equality. And inside equality, there is something that we need to do. We have a pending duty. Neoliberalism has failed. That is clear. Their proposals have failed. Let's have a look at the United Kingdom. Their economic system made everything worse. These policies are not sustainable. Their politics are not sustainable. But it's true that they are working all together, and it's true that we do not know for certain that the ones that have always been in the government are not going to win again. The bank wants to go against this productive method, and this system will avoid for these human rights and these climate rights to be upfront. And lastly, I want to express my gratitude, my satisfaction, because you're all here. All my strength, all my energy, that is an energy of caring, of this affection that you give us, and of collective intelligence, and being sure about what we do is of utmost importance, especially in these times that we're living. Because yesterday, after the 23rd of July, in this exact same place, something failed. The political project of Feijóo and Abascal. Feijóo won't be a president, and Abascal won't be the vice president of the government in Spain. And you know why it failed? Because it's impossible to go in the government when you are constantly mad at your country, and they are their country because they don't like the people in our country. They don't like for us to speak in different languages. They don't like for us to have different cultures. They don't like for us to think differently, and they don't like for us to tell them that we have to think in another way. And therefore Abascal and Feijóo failed. What we saw yesterday in Spain is that winning the far right is not something impossible. It is not something impossible. We can win the far right, the extreme right, and we have the obligation to do so. We will do so. We will win. And we will win by adding up lots of things, by loving each other very much, by understanding that politics play a part in solving people's problems, understanding that democracy is diversity and that we have the right to think differently, but we have to put the life of the people in the front, adding up in Spain, in the whole Europe, and gathering all together, joining hands to tell them that we're a wave, that we're going to be able to transform this hope wave in a transformation project of the whole Europe. And we will be doing so because what we saw yesterday in Spain, and I'm going to be very clear, and from Sumar we are able to say so, we gave them their hate, their rage. And it is impossible to build anything from sadness. It is impossible to build anything from rage, from hate. It is impossible to build anything from vendetta. From Sumar, we want dialogue. We want dialogue and dialogue. From Sumar, we want love. We want to be clear that we have to reach certain deals, certain pacts. Thank you so much. This is the way in which we do politics. And of course, most importantly, because they do not have the heritage of the ID cards of good Spanish and bad Spanish. They do not have this legitimization that they attribute themselves to have. They are no one to say who is a good Spaniard and who is not. Voting has reflected this, and someone that believes in democracy has the obligation to respect the results of the voting. And we have seen the worst phase of the far right and non-democracy. People are mistaking what is a People's Party that yesterday went against and protected the fact that a deputy can be harassed by someone profoundly violent. Yes, yesterday the People's Party not only did not condemn what happened, but they made the most out of the claiming that a deputy can be harassed by someone very violent. But we have been seeing something else as well. We have been seeing the far right there in the Congress threatening the whole formation of political parties. And from here, I'm going to ask Mr. Feijóo to stop, to make people stop, because in politics, not everything goes. Democracy is diversity. Democracy is not vendetta. Sumar says that is going to have this Spain of peace, of human rights, of improving people's lives. Spain of people, of women, of people that want more. And you know why? Because since Monday that I went, I'm going to speak to the president of the government in order to conform this new coalition. And we're going to ask the president to understand that it's not about making noise. It's about raising wages. It's about stopping this system. We have to speak about the urgency of the lack of pediatricians in our care centers, in our hospitals. Politics is all about improving the health conditions and the food conditions of our children. And it's all about the second opportunity. It's all about being able to live as freelancers. It's all about living in dignity. It's all about understanding that the youth cannot get out of their homes and be independent, because it's all about having right to housing. To all the young people, I'm telling you that it is true that you cannot even share a flat in Vigo, in Granada, in so many cities. It's all about understanding that fundamental rights are a cornerstone here, especially in a context as the one in which we are living. And this is no joke. We're living an unprecedented crisis. Let's call it a political crisis. Let's call it multi-crisis. Let's call it any way we want. But a crisis in which climate action is needed. And I will end by saying that Mr. Feijóo said, and this is no joke again, he spoke about dictatorship, about activism, about dictatorship and activism. And it is very serious that someone that wants to be in the front of Spain protects this dictatorship. And from Sumar, dear friends, we are going to defend a Spain in which everyone lives together, a Spain of hope, and we are going to keep on adding rights. Let's keep on smiling, being happy, and understanding that we are here to improve people's lives and people's quality life. Thank you very much.
Bueno, muchas gracias, Yolanda.
Muchas gracias, Yolanda. I think it showed again how much Sumar, how much Yolanda puts humans into the center of all her politics. And this is what we Greens also want to send as a signal from this event. Because for Greens, the human in their freedom and dignity is at the center of all politics that we do. All politics that we do start with humans. We do not want to save the planet because this is a fantastic planet. We want to save the planet for the human beings that are living on it. And this is the motivation behind our politics. But for that, we also want to put regular people at the center of how we do politics. We want to listen to them because we care for their voices, for their needs. And this is why we decided in this event to put humans in the center of our politics and to hear their voices and their voices of struggles, their voices of difficulties, but they are also voices of resilience, of strength, of coping. And this is why I'm very happy that we have 3 fantastic people that are going to give us testimonies to start off our political discussion, and Ernest is going to introduce the first one of them.
Bueno, la primera de ellas es Mirian Leirós. Gracias por estar con nosotros, activista ecosocial por la educación.
Yes, the first one is Mirian Leirós, social activist. Hello, everyone. I am a teacher, and since 2019, I belong to Teachers for Future in Spain. As volunteers, after our job, we create materials in order to fight against climate change, because we think that climate change and this crisis cannot be just a theoretical topic in the classroom. We have to explain it in a way that it is linked with other social issues, because students and families must understand that climate issues are not only about biodiversity, they go against social justice as well. So on top of our proposals, since 2019, we created a guide called 28,000 for Climate, and we implemented a few programs. One of them is sustainable academic mobility. So we cannot really explain in the institution what CO2 footprint means, and then having parents bringing their children to school by cars. So we need to make sure that we decarbonize our cities. Our second program is about changing our schools, which are a bit gray and favor sports like football. And I'm not against football, but our schools are thought for young male children to play football, and we need other types of leisure activities. We need shade in our schools so that they can engage with nature in a natural way. So greener spaces in our schools. We must make sure that our schools are greener, and we also have several programs that we are very proud of. One of them is a zero waste break. So reduce waste before the school breaks, because that avoids a recycling process, and because vulnerable families are the ones who consume processed food, which is very highly packaged and doesn't really contribute to doesn't have nutritional value. Therefore, we need school breaks that distribute seasonal and local food. That way, we reduce waste, we promote healthy habits. Public school must balance inequalities. And, well, the last program is called School canteens, and it's linked with the previous program. We serve in our schools products with very low nutritional value and can disrupt their development, the development of our children. So we must promote seasonal and local food, because school canteens are the only healthy option for many families who really struggle. So we must ensure that there is healthy food in our schools, free from pesticides. I will say that vulnerable families are exposed to fat-rich food and low nutritional value, and therefore exposed to obesity. And this is from the WHO. Us, as teachers, we are very aware of that. So, with these initiatives, these programs, which are relatively simple, and I know that many teachers are implementing these programs, I know that we could reduce carbon footprint. In Spain, there are over 28,000 schools. So if we implement these programs, we will reduce massively our carbon footprint. We will fight against inequality. We will contribute to the health of our students. This zero-waste school breaks is implemented in 2,000 schools, and with that, I want to say that when society has alternatives and other options, they get on board. So our society is not just is actively contributing to these programs. We must erase that image of a very romantic schools, right? Public school and in Spain lasts until students are 16. People that will vote at some point and that are part of this fake news, hate discourse, and we must bring critical thinking to our schools, dialogue and respect towards science, so that teenagers are well informed by the time they get to vote. Thank you.
I think we all know that over the summer, again, Europe has experienced one of the most extreme weather events that we have ever seen on this continent. And you all remember the images of wildfires, the images of smoke, people fleeing from the heat. And we can see that climate change already now has devastating effects. People are losing their homes, they are losing their livelihoods, some even are losing their lives. And we have to stand up to this. But at the same time, we have also all seen the images of those civil protection personnel who are standing up to this, firefighters who are fighting against the forest fires, medics who are helping people. And I think it is on us to support them, to show European solidarity across borders so that they can do their job. And one of the people who has been most outspoken about this is Alain Laratta. He's a firefighter of 35 years. He has a lot of experience. He's a passionate trade unionist, and he's fighting for creating a European Union that is ready to respond to the extreme weather events that we are going to see in the future. Alain, I cannot express how much appreciation I have for the work that you are doing, for the courage of you and all your colleagues. It is an honor to have you here. Give a very warm applause to Alain Laratta, a firefighter from France.
Merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much. Hello, welcome everyone. I'm the first one who will speak in French, and for non-speakers, I wish to apologize as you'll have to wear your headsets. Thanks a lot for your invitation. I'm really honored and proud and As indicated, I'm a professional firefighter and I'm the General Secretary of Avenir Secours that works on with the firefighters in France. I'm also the Vice President of the CESI in Brussels, which groups together 40 organizations that work on all sorts of topics related to public services. Let me tell you that I really was afraid of coming here. Indeed, when you get an invitation to speak in a family that is not necessarily yours, it's not always very easy. And I must say that I could meet very nice people, many very nice people, and beyond your politics and your trade union engagement, I must say that I've seen some convergences and I really could meet many interesting people. I want to thank you. I also want to thank Jesus and Manon, who helped me facilitate these matters, and I may not forget my assistant Manon and Alok in Brussels. I'm not going to talk about the issues related to the water use conflicts, conflicts related to the use of water, as is the case in many territories, because there will be an arbitration between giving water to the people and leaving water to firefighters. However, I won't be able to delve into this issue. I won't be able to speak about how air means will be coordinated. You can imagine that when you have 10 planes covering some wildfires, like the French pilots on the French territory, this might create issues, as was the case during the summer. There is also the interoperability of the rescue means. We have a problem of compatibility of our material. I will not speak about the psychosocial risks, and I won't speak either about all the aggressions against the civil servants, which is really a topic that is very much developed by the European Confederation of Independent Trade Unions, CESI. There are at least 3 to 4 attacks against the firefighters every day in France. For 10 years, we raised an alert among all our spokespeople, and we let them know that climate change would impact our population and our territories with a growing number of wildfires, more floods, more heat waves. And the scope of all this would be higher, the frequency would also increase. Beyond what we've just heard, I will focus on 2 elements, 2 strands. There is an exceptional situation in Europe, which means that Europe needs exceptional means to mend the states, like the planes, and Europe needs to finance, in the framework of its research and development, new means. We can send 600 kilos of drugs from Morocco to Spain, and it's impossible to throw water on wildfires. Another strand related to this is the creation of a true civil security force with at least 500 rescuers that could be dispatched across all territories. The last item I'd like to focus on, which is very dear to us and that we advocate with all the parliamentarians, is the creation of a genuine status, a common status of European first responders. This doesn't exist. Our job is on a voluntary basis, so how can people get engaged to protect the others? So Europe needs to be present in this area. I could meet many very enthusiastic people here, people who are full of hopes, and I must say that we must act immediately. We must act now because it's not too late yet. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup pour votre expérience. Bueno.
Thanks a lot for your experience.
Ultramarinos, Javi, que ya nos acompañó alguna otra vez.
I will give the floor now to Maite Navarro, shopkeeper at Ultramarinos Javi. Hello everyone, my name is Maite Navarro and I own a shop in Valencia. The shop is called Ultramarinos Javi. In our neighbor, we all know each other. We know about our lives. So let's say September last year, everything was very expensive because of the war in Spain. Electricity prices were getting higher, food prices were getting higher, and it was insane, really. And during that time, I remember a couple, Maria. After the summer, Maria changed the way she used to shop. She would grab some special tomatoes in the past, but at that time she was not purchasing them anymore. And because it's a small shop, we can chat to our customers. This is not a supermarket. We have time to chat. And so I asked her, what's happening? What's going on? And she said, well, with those prices, I cannot afford certain things because otherwise I won't reach the end of the month. Maria is retired. And I asked her, well, eating is a luxury? Well, no, it is not, but I need to prioritize. Maria and her friend were doing whatever they could to save money, and as a result, they stopped having breakfast in a cafe. Instead of going every day, they would go once a week. And we were very aware of that situation. My husband and I would talk about their stories and the stories of our customers because they changed how they used to shop. And same with regards to children. Sometimes they would enter the shop and children ask for everything and you cannot give them anything. You as a parent, you must choose. And sometimes children would ask for a piece of fruit, let's say a kiwi gold. It's a more expensive kiwi, and parents would say no, and you could see the disappointment in the children's face, right? And they were confused because they said, well, I'm not asking for chocolate, I'm asking for fruit, and their parents would give them cheaper fruits. Let's say chicken breasts. Well, that was also quite expensive, and parents had to say no and had to buy a cheaper product with a lower quality, of course. But of course, when you check both prices, one has to prioritize, and that was very difficult for us. We are grandparents and we love treating our grandchildren, and as shop owners sometimes we try to compensate by giving away cookies or a little bit of chocolate. I am a grandmother. I'm 60 years old and I love to treat children, and children do suffer during those times. Yolanda Díaz in those times mentioned that we should maybe create baskets with essential products with affordable prices, and we did it. We created a basic basket that was 29 euros, and that basket included milk, sugar, eggs, fruits and vegetables, beans, olive oil. Media knew about it and it was a real success. And yes, our shop is in Valencia, and that initiative was implemented in Valencia, in other neighborhoods, in Madrid as well, and they asked for those baskets, and we were very, very happy. We also met some people who were struggling, but it was a temporary struggle, and they shared their story with us. Oh yes, have you heard about the redo inflation? It's a similar concept. Prices are the same, but the amount of product is reduced in terms of, I don't know, yogurts, mayonnaise. And we noticed some muffins that are very typical from Valencia. And in the past, there were 12 per package, and now there are 6 of them. So the price is the same, but in the past you would get 12, and now you get 6. And this is very, very significant. At that time, prices were getting higher and higher. Milk was very expensive. So at some point, the price for a particular cheese increased by 4 euros from one week to the other. And we couldn't really tell our customers what was going on. Thank you to these baskets, Maria and her friend were able to save. They could afford certain tomatoes. They knew they had to shop consciously, and they had in mind that the more expensive food is the one that goes to waste. If you buy food, if you buy a tomato and you use it in a salad and you don't eat it, then you are wasting food, you're not saving money. And the same applies to daily coffee. Well, is it a crime to spend a euro on a coffee if that means socializing and spending time with friends? And we all know that we solve the world while drinking a coffee with friends, and that's great. These 2 friends are now retired, as I said. One of them lives alone, and all these problems that you may have get solved over a coffee, and you can just enjoy the rest of your afternoon at home. We must improve people's lives. That's why we are here. That is what makes us happy. We must improve people's lives, and we must do it together. We must live happily, right? So, thank you very much. Please don't make me cry.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you very much.
Moving story that you are telling, and I think you have made the lives of many, many people better, including people in this room now listening to your story. So thank you so much. Now we have heard 3 inspiring stories of struggles, but also of resilience. And obviously now we want to turn to the other side of the panel, because we have heard about people's needs, people's struggles, but now we want to hear what are political answers to that, what can be done, because we know that politics has to support people. So we have 3 fantastic women, 3 fantastic ministers that are here with us, that are going to tell us what could be political answers. And the first one of them is Lisa Paus. She's the Minister for Family, for Seniors, for Women and for Youth in Germany. And I have met Lisa not only as a very ardent fighter for tax and economic justice, but also as a very outspoken feminist. And she actually joined the Greens because she had experienced a lot of sexism in her professional life, and she felt that the Greens were the party that were truly standing up for gender equality and that actually wanted to put women into the centers of power. But, and I have to tell you this, in Germany, we still have a situation where abortion is regulated in the penal code. I know many people are shocked by this, but it is a reality. And Lisa is one of the people that is now fighting to change that. Because we want to decriminalize abortion. We want the right to abortion to be a fundamental right all over Europe, also in Germany. So Lisa, as a feminist minister, is pushing for this. But then, and to tell you, Lisa is also a single mother, and in her own politics, she has always put families at the center, and especially families who are struggling. So the fight against child poverty, the fight against difficulties of a lot of families, of a lot of children to make ends meet. And I can tell you, in a government where Christian Lindner is responsible for the money, this is not always an easy struggle. But I can tell you that Lisa has really put everything into that. She has really fought to introduce the so-called Kindergrundsicherung, a child benefit that is supposed to make sure that no child in Germany has to grow up in poverty. Lisa, I'm eternally thankful for all that you have done. Give her a very warm welcome. Lisa Paus, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Terry. Everything is said. And hello, Madrid. It's so fantastic to be in a capital city in a country where only yes means yes. But first of all, I would like to warmly thank the three speakers, Mirian Leirós, Alain Laratta, Maite Navarro. Your personal stories really shift our focus to the things that really matter to the people in Europe. And they show quite clearly where we currently stand in Europe. We live in a world in which various global crises overlap and affect us directly. First and foremost, the Russian war of aggression against the Ukraine, the related global food and energy crisis, disrupted supply chains, and overall, the climate crisis. People are facing an increase in prices in their daily lives. Many of them no longer know how to make ends meet. We just heard it. People live in a world shaped by insecurity and by fear for the future. And of course, these crises hit the poorest of society the hardest. This holds true all over Europe, for Germany, for every single member state of the EU, and of course of the world as a whole. We should not forget that. And that is what we have to tackle together. The stories were shared by Miriam, Alain, and Maite about their lives. They also show, in times of crisis, people can mobilize unimagined forces as individual citizens, but also we in politics. I see it as one of government's key tasks to provide for security and direction, especially in times in which people fear for their future. This is also a key task for European policymakers. In Germany, the Green Party, I am happy to belong to, are the driving force for climate justice, for preparing for the future, and for protecting the citizens in these crisis-ridden times. And as a Minister for Family Affairs, Senior Citizens, Women and Youth, I'm deeply convinced good family policy is key in this regard. It is vital for the cohesion of our society and for how we overcome crisis. To orient all policies to our children, to the most vulnerable, is really the best guidance for politics. My main goal as a minister for all this is to fight structural child poverty in a targeted, effective and sustainable manner. Yes, in Germany, 2.9 million children and young people are poor or at risk of poverty. In Germany, 2.9 million. And that is one of every 5 children. And that is a shame for a rich nation like ours. Families in which parents raise their children alone are at the highest risk of poverty. Overall, there are about 1.6 million single parents with 2.3 million minor children in Germany, and we assume that almost 50% of the children in these households are at risk of poverty. And that is why I am making every effort to introduce a basic child allowance. Terry talked about that. It is the key social policy project in this legislative period. What does it mean? Basic child allowance will provide a safety net that will benefit all children and that will support children who need this net in particular. This summer, there was a fierce debate in Germany within the government made up of Greens, Social Democrats and Liberal Democrats over whether it would make really sense at all to fight child poverty with more money. The clear answer is yes. We must support children directly, that means materially, so that poor children feel less excluded and can better take their different paths, educational paths, development paths, and so on, so that children have a fair chance at living a good life. And I am very pleased that we, the Greens, have asserted ourselves. This past Wednesday, the Federal Cabinet adopted the draft law on the basic child allowance. And this is how we will proceed. In Germany, children live in poverty all too often because their parents hardly understand the support system and therefore are unable to apply for benefits, although they are entitled to them. Lots of bureaucracy, different places you have to go to, and so on. And now we will change this. In future, parents will no longer need to claim the benefits, but the state will have a service obligation to provide them. Parents will be informed actively and automatically about their potential entitlements. We call this the Basic Child Allowance Check. The Basic Child Allowance will include a guaranteed child allowance, which will replace the current child benefit, and it will amount to 250 euros by now, and all children will receive it, 250 euros guaranteed. And this amount will in future be automatically adjusted in line with increases in prices. In addition, and that is new, there will be a supplementary child allowance. And this will be based on the parents' and children's income and the children's age. That means families that earn less will receive greater support. This guarantees their minimum subsistence level. We will overall simplify the calculation and the payment of this family benefit, and that alone will enable more children than in the past to receive more money, especially those in hidden poverty, whose parents work hard but do not have enough money to make ends meet. And in addition, of course, we will raise the benefit also moderately. The supplementary child allowance will help us to support up to 5.6 million children, so even more than which we count right now in poverty. And this will be 3 times as many children as today, 3 times more. Fair opportunities for all children, regardless of their parents' financial resources. To achieve this, my ministry and I have also launched the National Action Plan, titled New Opportunities for Children in Germany. This plan aims to ensure that by 2030, disadvantaged children and young people have what they need: good early childhood education and care, healthcare, nutrition, and housing. With this plan, the federal government is implementing a recommendation by the Council of the European Union on introducing a European Child Guarantee. And this action plan includes about 350 different measures. The federal state and local governments and civil society are working together to turn this action plan into a success. It is especially important to me that children and young people closely accompany the implementation by 2030 as experts in their own case. It was also mentioned a good start and fair opportunities for all children. That is a very important topic for parents raising children on their own. It was said already, I am a single parent myself. But I know that I am very much privileged. I know that I'm one of the third of single parents who can make their living. It is really hard and struggling to do it, and so this is so that I'm making every effort to ensure that we implement those measures in the coalition agreement that especially benefit additionally single parents. The new basic child allowance I talked already about will allow single parents who claim citizens' benefit to receive additionally improved benefits. They will profit from a new offsetting system. Only 45% of any maintenance payments will be taken into account as income when calculating the additional allowance in future. That means what you get from the other part or from government, this maintenance payments. For poor people, it was completely taken away from the state. We will change that, and more money will be left with the single parents. And this improved offsetting also applies to maintenance advance until the child turns 7. I'm too long, and so I go on with some other papers. So, enough talking about Germany. We did achieve quite a lot in Germany. We do also something for child daycare, etc. But still, there is work to be done, and that is why I'm excited to learn from my colleague in Belgium. We had the possibility already to talk a little bit today, and also Spain. Especially during crisis, it is important to look beyond one's own borders, to exchange views and learn from each other. We need, altogether, a strong and socially just Europe. We need to ensure that all children get a good start to life. And therefore, the elections to the European Parliament in June 2024 are so important. We want to shape a Europe, preserve what makes us strong, and to strengthen what protects us. A Europe that continues to lead the way in promoting women's rights and gender equality. A Europe in which women can live free from violence. A Europe in which all people have autonomy for their bodies and their lives. A Europe that values and protects its diverse minorities, especially because these fundamental rights are being challenged in so many countries by right-wing groups and autocratic regimes. We will oppose any rollback. So let us jointly continue to shape a Europe that takes all groups of society into account and that promotes social cohesion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Minister, for your kind words. And now it's really a big pleasure for me to introduce to you a dear friend of mine, if I may say, Minister, Vice Prime Minister, who we work together in the European Parliament, and she's one of the greatest politicians in Europe, driving the defense of human rights, of social services in a country such important as Belgium. Minister de Sutter, it's such an honor to have you in Madrid. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Ernest, for these, I'm afraid, undeserved words. You first have to listen to what I'm going to say. So, buenos días a todos. Estoy muy feliz.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be here today. And thank you so much to Miriam, to Alain, to Maite for sharing their stories. Doing so requires of courage And it's not all about witnessing it, but we reflect it in the work that they do in their everyday work. So this is very inspiring. Thank you so much.
The past few years, 3 years to be exact, while we as Greens were part of the Belgian government, we have faced multiple political challenges where our response clearly showed the social heart of our party, where we clearly showed that the concerns of the people are at the heart of our political activity. And I would like to present you with 3 of these challenges, or dilemmas if you want. The first dilemma that we faced was to eat or to heat. It was a dilemma that some families were about to face last winter. A dilemma we did not think we would face in a prosperous Europe, in a prosperous country like Belgium. But due to the war in Ukraine, energy prices, we all know, were at unprecedented levels. And supermarket prices and all shop prices, food prices were rising as well. Inflation rose to unseen heights. And it was an issue that we, as a government, did not think we would ever have to address. But to be honest, and maybe we will not all agree on the way we did, at least we had a discussion before, but I'm still proud of the way that my country has done this. We have been able to preserve the purchasing power of our citizens better than other European countries did, because we wanted to be sure that people could still buy their groceries and pay their energy bills, and not or. So people did not have to make a choice between eating or heating. And in this way, and I'm proud to say, we have really left no one behind. And how did we do this? Well, first of all, we have extended our social tariff plan for energy to more than 2 million Belgians, which is about 1 in 5 citizens. And this way we gave support to those who needed it most. We did that also by maintaining our system of automatic wage indexation, which ensures that along with food and energy prices, also wages rise, both in the public and the private sector. It's a unique system under debate, but it came under pressure also in Belgium, of course, during the crisis, because enterprises did not like this so much, because wages went up. But as a government, we have defended it strongly. It has protected our citizens, it has worked. And we always, in this way, have been putting people first. And yes, I'm convinced that having Greens in government really makes a difference. Now, this was short term, and we are paying for it in our budget, as you know, Lisa. But we have also worked on the long term. We have quadrupled our renewable energy capacity, quadrupled, after 20 years of, I would say, inactivity in the energy department in my country, without us in the government. But we have done that to secure the future, to hopefully not have to face this kind of dilemma in the future again. Because, of course, renewable energy makes us more independent and gives us more control over pricing. We are taking our energy narrative into our own hands again. This is not only about the climate. This is also about resilience and autonomy. And then we also put the social energy tariff on the table for a reform, because we have learned a lot from the past period. We want a fairer system that automatically protects those in need, to assure that basic needs never become luxury goods. These examples show that as Greens, we have been able to act in the now, but also prepare for the future. Today, we did what was necessary to get through the crisis. Tomorrow, we will be better protected because we also thought of the long term. And in that sense, I was very inspired to listen to the stories that we heard before we politicians started to talk. Definitely also yours on the purchasing power of people. It shows that together and from bottom up, we can do a lot to protect our welfare when we have the courage to do so. A second question, dilemma if you wish, exploiting or protecting. You should know that besides being Deputy Prime Minister, I am also responsible for Postal Service. Postal Service, you may think this is not very exciting for a Green, but yes, there are a lot of challenges that we also as Greens can make in that field, especially, you will understand, because it also includes the e-commerce, which is a booming business with a lot of challenges, not in the least when it comes to environmental and social sustainability. When making e-commerce more ecological, honestly, I experience not too much opposition. But I have put down a proposal of law to give delivery drivers better social protection. That meets with a lot more resistance. This proposal, which is passed the government and which is now debated in Parliament, establishes, for instance, rest periods for delivery drivers, and it ensures fair pay in a very unregulated sector. We will also ask from the operators, the companies, transparency so that we can combat social fraud and social dumping, which is massive in that sector. Yeah, you would say this is logical. Why the opposition? Well, because if you look at the sector and you do a purely economic analysis of my proposal of law, you can see that this is not the way that most profit will be generated. Of course not. The cheapest economic reality is to exploit people. And we have seen testimonies of that in my country, I'm sure in many countries, of drivers that work 16 hours a day, that are paid very, very low wages and have no social protection and no representation. This is something that we as Greens can never accept. So, indeed, this law proposal was not made to suit companies that just want to pay more dividends to their shareholders. It was written on behalf of these people who sort parcels at night in the distribution centers, the people who often have to work 16 hours a day for these low wages to get all these parcels in our mailboxes the next day when we order something at dumping prices. It is for them that we wrote this law, to make sure that this kind of exploitation in the postal sector will forever be a thing of the past. We do not want to see overly tired delivery drivers anymore who have to rush for these 16 hours to get the work done at a ridiculously low price. The third and last dilemma, to care or not to care? And actually, this is not a question. Everyone who has worked hard all their lives deserves a joyful retirement, with time for family and friends, and above all, without worries, and definitely also not financial worries. And this is why in Belgium now, in this government, we decided to raise the minimum pensions so that people can live the lives they deserve. But, and we had a pension reform that we discussed in the government for months, what we have asked is that also taking care of other people would be recognized as work. It's unpaid work, but it is work. It contributes to society. Let's say that you stay home to take care of your newborn children or of elderly in need of assistance. This is the kind of work and effort that we also should value. It is of great social value. It deserves recognition. So we have decided to credit certain care leave as working days to calculate your pension rights and also the amount of pension you would get, which makes the retirement system more fair. And what we did on top of that is we also included part-time work to be sure that inequities in the system also would be addressed. And it's important. We all know why. Because very often women are still disadvantaged in their accrual of pension rights, since they take the care duties more often for they're more responsible for care duties than men. And they also work part-time more often than men. And this leads to an inequity in the pension system that we have addressed. In this way, we have shown appreciation for those who care for their loved ones and for our society. We show that we care for those who care. In addition, we also pay attention to those who are temporarily unable to work. Because when someone has to rely on social benefits, it is important that this does not put them in financial difficulties. So we have raised the lowest benefits towards the poverty line, because it was well under the poverty line. It only seems logical to me that supporting during unemployment should not lead to poverty. But, and it might be a surprise, we have been the first Belgian government to have the courage to raise unemployment benefits towards that poverty line. No previous government, certainly not with liberals or conservatives, has ever made this happen. And this was only possible with Greens in the government. With Greens in the government, we invested significantly in renewable energy, the largest investment so far ever in Belgium, to ensure a cleaner planet and more affordable energy for all our citizens. With Greens in government, we have guarded the rights of the most vulnerable people, and we ensure that social exploitation, I gave the example of e-commerce, will finally be stopped. With Greens in government, we have increased pensions and minimum benefits. We made basic needs such as internet and energy accessible to all through social tariff plans and long-term investments. Being green means fighting every day for a fair, inclusive, and sustainable society by working together, by listening to each other, and by putting people first, always. Es por esto que estoy orgullosa de hoy en día.
That's why I'm proud to be part of the Green Party. Thank you very much to everyone.
Thank you so much, Petra. And already listening to the two of you, I mean, I thought I was already the proudest Green, but now I'm even prouder than I was before. Thank you so much for sharing these stories with us. And now I'm going to introduce a person that doesn't need any introduction, but I wanted to share with you something about Yolanda that I think is important, especially in times like this. Because we all know that the climate crisis is aggravating. We know that there is a lot of inequality. I think we constantly hear stories of people living in poverty, people being homeless, people struggling with their lives. We see that there is a growing hate against minorities, our trans siblings who are under attack. We see that there is a lot of hatred towards asylum seekers in our societies. And yes, in a lot of European countries, there are growing fascist, far-right, authoritarian forces that feel that they have all the momentum on their side. And I think Yolanda Díaz has done a lot of fantastic things, raising the minimum wage in Spain, protecting better platform workers. She has done so much in terms of legislation. But I think what she has done to me, to a lot of people in Spain, and I think to millions of Europeans, is that in these difficult times, she has given us hope. She has given us hope that we can fight back. She has given us hope that we can change the tide, that we can resist, that we can prevent far-right forces from getting into power. And this is exactly the kind of hope that we need today. So Yolanda, it is wonderful to be here with you. Thank you so much. Let us fight against the far-right for better, for more progressive and greener Europe.
Bueno, ya para clausurar.
In order to conclude this summit, I would like to thank you. Thank you for your work, for these couple of days that have been very necessary and insightful. And I will catch up with its content over the next couple of days. Thank you, Maite. Thank you, Miriam. Thank you, Alain, because you represent what we need. We must not forget that this bottom-up approach is the one that works, the one that changes the situation. Your everyday life is important to us. And Maite, well, I cried with her one day in a radio program. She was facing economical powers, and she showed that we can help people while these corporations were making lots of profits. So I think that you guys are the really important ones. Lisa, Petra, thank you, because you give us strength. We share the same hope, the same message, similar to Ada Colau. That is, we are part of the public institutions, and we are there in order to care about people's lives. We fight for inequality, poverty. We fight for youth, for children. And Terry, our common language is hope. We cannot change the current situation if we are hopeless. When we fight in the streets for public health, we do so because we want to change things. When workers go on strike, they do so because they have hope. When we fight for the planet on the streets, or today in summits like this, we do so because we have hope. So against them, we must remain united. We can win. And in order to win, we must remain united. We must work together. We must build a historical cluster with trade unions, with social movements, with green associations. We will be in the Spanish government. We will create a green government which includes feminism, and that's how we will change things. To conclude, we must not forget why we are here. And this is what makes us strong. You can count on me, you can count on Sumar in order to fight for rights across Europe. I'm full of hope, really, with the demonstrations that will take place in many European cities. We will conquer new rights because we know that rights are complementary, and from a labor perspective, a feminist perspective, a human rights perspective, and from equality, we will be stronger. We have to work together, so let's have hope.
Avec moi prêt pour donner. OK.
Thank you so much to everyone. Thank you to our wonderful speakers. Thank you to all the people in the audience, all the different workshops that have taken place. It was a fantastic event with all of you. I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart. We hope that we can continue on this path together. Have a wonderful afternoon, everyone.